Hello and welcome, friends. This is the JRPG Report. This is going to be episode 154, and we have got an absolutely insane podcast for you guys. Today, I have got so many big, awesome stories to talk about. Most of these things you might have actually covered, as this has been an extremely busy week, and I am in a bit of a pickle because all this stuff is going on as I'm recording this morning on Thursday during New Game Plus Expo, and I wanted to wait till after it was done and record a big podcast, but it's just impossible. It'd go on for hours. So here's what we're going to do. This episode 154 is going to be the past week, and once New Game Expo gets wrapped up tonight, I'm going to do just a podcast on all the stuff that came out today. And I will try to do that first thing tomorrow morning for you guys, so you'll have a special bonus Friday podcast to listen to over the weekend. But let's not waste any more time in getting to. I could have went a couple different directions. So the big things were obviously all the Final Fantasy VII remake Intergrade news that came out of the State of Play presentation. We finally learned what Final Fantasy Ever Crisis is. We had the Nintendo Pokemon Direct, big announcements out of that. And then, because they weren't willing to wait 1 week, right? So our friends over at Weekly Famitsu did a big 16-page feature on Falcom's 40th anniversary, and they kind of they didn't blow the lid off because, this is just a magazine, so they weren't able to show nothing but a few images. But we kind of have some new details about Kuro no Kiseki. So here is what we do know. There are two battle systems that you can choose from. So you can either do action or you can do command. Before that, when you're on the field, you can still use R1 to run. R3 will change your targets. So think like a normal Legend of Heroes type game, but if you see an enemy on the field, you will have to target them in order to initiate combat. I'm thinking maybe that's because it's on the same field. There's not a separate battlefield. I don't know. Maybe we'll learn something next week at the actual 40th anniversary thing when we get, hopefully, a video for it. So, yes, if you accidentally run into an enemy or they run into your back that will not engage combat, you do have to be targeting them to get into battle. You can run right through an enemy and it will not do anything. So let's talk about what we do know, and they are these two battle systems. You can choose freely between the two. I don't guess you could choose in the middle of battle, but beforehand you can choose what you want. Kind of like with Remake, how you could do classic mode or more the action system, but this is, it's not just the old system put into this new game. It is going to be even different as far as that goes. So let's go with the command system first. So it says you can switch at any time. I can't imagine it's during battle, but so with the command system, there's still that gauge that indicates the turn order that's indicated. It inherits the same characteristics as the action time battle system as before. When your turn arrives, though, you will be able to move freely within the battle area. So no more move as its own separate command that ends your turn type of deal. I think this is how you're going to be able to get a distinct advantage. It still has like the spell effect fields and obviously certain attacks will attack groups of enemies. So when your turn comes up, you position yourself as to best use whatever attack you want to. We'll have to wait and see how this works. It does sound pretty interesting. Maybe a bit like Dragon Quest 11 that you can move around freely to that effect, but it does look like there's actually some advantage to it in this aspect. There are still links and S breaks. Those are still going to be in there. And so each button will correspond to the command, just like with Cold Steel 3 and 4. You can still defend your arts, your crafts, all that fun stuff. The art effects range has been reformed, and there are 2 new elements called Boost and SCLM. We don't know what that is yet. I'm sure we'll get a ton more information. Things are starting to trickle out as this article is being translated as well. So that's kind of the command system, tried and true. Without knowing, I would say this is what I'm going to be going for. But maybe to get new players into this series, they have went as an option for this action battle system. So as I said before, each button has its own command. Well, so like with your circle button, you would be doing your attacks. Square will be deploy shard. Not sure what that is. That could be similar to some type of orbit system. X will actually evade. So you can either sidestep or backflip. Yeah, I mean, they're going action with this thing. So, triangle will bring up a tactics menu. The right touchpad will have your target information. L1 will give you the ability to switch between characters. So again, think Remake or like Ryza 2, being able to switch on the fly between different party members. Your party members that you are not controlling will fight on their own, like other action RPG type systems. So, we learned some things. There were also some, I think a total of 3 images have arisen from this, and I really like the new look for this game. I think it looks incredible just from these screenshots. I really can't wait to see this thing in action. I say that because, remember, this game is supposed to come out in the summer in Japan. We're not very far off from that. Maybe that gets pushed back. But we have seen these 2 screenshots do the 2 of the 3 main characters are involved, and yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. The one screen shows off the action system. I think the other one shows off the command system. Yep, I believe that's exactly what's going on there. So if you'll check out our social media channels, you can see the article that I'm talking about that just posted this morning, the latest one. So, no, it was yesterday. I'm sorry. So, check those out if you're interested to see those screenshots and exactly what I'm talking about. You can kind of read on your own pace and try to figure out exactly what's going on. But, yeah, hopefully we will learn a bit more on March the 8th. I'll break down everything in next week's episode that we gain from it. And I remember when we first heard all about this, I was definitely a little concerned. I am much more relieved now to know that they are not just adopting an action system and leaving series veterans behind. So I love the idea of options. Why not, right? If you can implement the systems, these PlayStation 4 and moving to the 5, they're extremely powerful. Surely they can handle multiple ways of playing a game. And why not give people more options? Just don't alienate the people who got you there type of deal. And it sounds like they're trying to make the best of both worlds. I've seen it said after people got done with 4 that they were ready to move on with this series, that they had kind of played it and it hadn't changed a whole lot. The further I got into 4, I started to understand that idea just a little bit. It does not look like Hajimari is going to get that big of a difference, if at all, from the past 2 Cold Steel titles in terms of the way it controls. So maybe this is a welcome change. We did see the series progress from series to series, so this is maybe just that next evolution. As long as they keep it turn-based in some aspect, I will happily play them as long as they continue to make those. If you couldn't tell, obviously I was able to get off of work this week and cover all the crazy shenanigans that are going down. Don't forget, check out our YouTube channel for all the updated trailers that are popping out, not only from New Game Plus Expo, but also from just every day. We try to put stuff on there as they pop up and keep you informed with the latest happenings in the JRPG world. So, at Sony's State of Play, I didn't think we were going to get anything really of much of any value, to be quite frank. And instead, we got a triple play of Final fantasy news. You could call this, I was going to call it the good, the bad, and the ugly, but that's not exactly accurate at all. So, first with the good/great, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade will be a free upgrade for PlayStation 4 owners of the game and will launch June 10th worldwide. As we have seen with many other titles, if you have the PlayStation 4 version of a game, there is a PlayStation 5 upgraded version. It looks like this is more than maybe some of the other ones have offered, though, as well, I mean, you get the extra Intergrade on the title. It's got to be something good. Plus, it's not coming out for a while, so they are working on this one. It will take advantage of the latest generation of hardware, include a wealth of graphical, gameplay, and system enhancements. There will be 2 game modes. I don't know how this is going to work exactly. It does show it off in one of the videos, but there's either graphics mode, which prioritizes 4K high-resolution graphics, or performance mode, which prefers more the 60 frames per second angle. Playing devil's advocate, why can't they do both? I don't know. That's a that's a technical developer question, not for your friendly weekly podcast host. You can now capture and share memorable moments from the game with the fully customizable photo mode. This game has plenty of those moments that would make for some amazing pictures. You can now enjoy immersive battles using the DualSense wireless controller with its haptic feedback integration, and enjoy dynamic bike racing with its adaptive triggers. That would be pretty fun. There's new difficulty modes for classic mode, which I enjoyed playing it on. But remember, by default, classic mode was easy mode. I believe now you have a normal option for classic mode, which should have been in there the whole time. You can jump into the action faster with optimized loading times. They showed this in the trailer, and guys, it was instant load. Obviously, with an SSD, that's exactly what you would expect. That's what we've been promised. If you remember when they were first coming out with PS5, they touted the Spider-Man load time going from like 15 seconds to 1. That's exactly what it looks like you're getting with this. You're picking a chapter and instantly going into playing it. If you have Final Fantasy VII Remake on PS4, you will get to have this free enhanced version for PS5. But they didn't stop just there, right? The big news all over the internet was Yuffie and the special bonus episode. And now this is just for PlayStation 5. So if you want to play it on PS4, you're going to need to pony up and get that new system. This bonus, I don't think they have an official name for it, but we'll just say Yuffie DLC, right? You're going to need that new system in order to play it. In this new adventure, you play as the ninja Yuffie Kazugari as she infiltrates the shadowy Shinra Corporation to steal a powerful materia and restore glory to her homeland. Play alongside new characters and enjoy an enhanced gameplay experience featuring multiple new combat and gameplay additions, bringing a new perspective to Remake story that cannot be missed. There will be obviously, there are some people out there who don't have the PS4 version. There will be a physical and digital standard edition, as well as digital deluxe edition of Intergrade when it comes out on June the 10th. No pricing on that yet. I'm sure there will be at some point in time. So, what was I going to say? They did talk about that the Yuffie DLC, I forget how many chapters are in Remake. I think it's 16, if I'm not mistaken. Her DLC is much shorter. As you might expect, it's not going to be a full game. No pricing on it yet, but it's only going to be about 2 chapters long. They said, no, Remake was 18 chapters. Yeah. So her story will be told over 2 chapters of gameplay. Yeah, I mean, that's great, and it looks so cool. There is a new helper with her. What is his name? Oh, gosh. I forget the name. Sion? I want to say Shion, but that's not right. I think it's Sion. So, yeah, it looks really cool. Completely new story for you guys to experience. But just talking on Intergrade alone, I mean, the game looked fantastic on PS4, right? It looks so much better. They did a really good job of doing those videos that has like, the one version on one side and one version on another, and then the slider kind of takes over and shows you all of one, then all of the other. It's like I remember playing it and just my jaw dropping with how gorgeous it was. And then you see the PlayStation 5 version and it makes the PS4 version look like garbage, right? Like you're playing a completely different game. I'm, you know, I've got to wait on my PS5. It's going to probably be a little while. I've been wanting to play Remake again. So now it kind of gives me the perfect excuse to wait and play it. And yeah, I cannot be happier for all these announcements there. Yes, Sonon. That's his name. Sonon. That is the new character's name. Looks up. I mean, it's definitely not Zack as this is a warrior from Wutai, but kind of has a semi resemblance in the face to Zack. He uses a big old long metal pole looking thing, and looks like he can really do some damage. The trailer shows them fighting a giant mechanical worm. I don't know what you would describe it as, but it looked pretty cool to say the least. Not sure how they're going to put Yuffie into the main game, but it is cool to go ahead and acknowledge her as a character, and hopefully she won't be like some sort of weird DLC, because of course, remember, she was a missable character in the original along with Vincent, so I'm hoping that you can still recreate her like normal. Certainly very, very excited. One final piece of remake news. It was revealed, and they didn't actually reveal it at State of Play. It kind of came out a few hours later, but for March, if you've got PlayStation Plus, you can go and download Final Fantasy VII Remake right now. They are, well, they're not giving it away. Of course, you do play, you pay for Plus each year, but yeah, you can go play it right now if you are a PlayStation Plus subscriber. One small caveat, in case you were already forward thinking enough to bring this up, they shot this one down. If you download this version of it for free, I guess they have some way of tracking how, what version of it that you have. Of course they do, because I'm not a Plus member anymore, and all the games I used to have that little plus symbol next to them that I had to pay for to get again. You cannot upgrade to PS5 version for free. Maybe there's some sort of fee that will be involved when that goes on, but yeah, you're not just going to be able to then play it on PS5. You'll need to actually pony up some extra cash at some point in time. So yeah, they shot that one down pretty fast before anybody could really get going on it. So let's start with let's skip ahead to the not so great Final Fantasy news that came out of State of Play, at least in my opinion. So, 2 mobile games were announced using the Final Fantasy name. Remember we talked about those trademarks a while ago for Ever Crisis and First Soldier? Well, we know what they both are. And First Soldier is going to be a battle royale action game for iOS and Android that will launch in 2021. So, let's say, I don't know how much of this audience are Fortnite fans, and if you are, that's fantastic. Maybe you'll enjoy this game, because that's pretty much what they're going for is Fortnite in Final Fantasy. I like the idea of it, right? So this is a quote-unquote prequel to the story. I think it takes place 40 years before, something in that. It's definitely many years before Final Fantasy VII, and kind of shows the formation of the soldier program. And pretty much that was the excuse for them to make a battle royale game. I'm not saying it looks bad by any stretch. I think it actually looks pretty cool. I have no use for a game like that, right? And maybe you've got some diehard Final Fantasy fans that would be into that, or some Fortnite fans that want to play something a bit different, but kind of felt like they swung and missed with this one. Now, the other thing. We've been talking about what is Ever Crisis. I had that whole podcast even called that what it is. Well, let me tell you what it's not. It is not a remake of Crisis Core. Zach is not involved. It is not some sort of new offshoot a la Dirge of Cerberus. This, I'm actually kind of pretty excited about this one in a way. It will go both ways with it. So this is also for iOS and Android. So it's a mobile title. At least it could come to consoles. We're not sure. But it is a single player experience in episodes of the original Final Fantasy VII, but kind of uses some assets from Remake in some of the character designs. Its overall look is very unique. It kind of has more of a manga anime look to the characters, but definitely like a high resolution version of the original FF7. Looks really good. It looks really fun. Now, it's not a faithful, complete reimagining because in the trailer alone, when you're facing the Scorpion Sentinel, not only is it Cloud and Barret, but Aerith joins the fight. So maybe there's some of those mobile, gacha elements in there where you can have different characters and experience the story. But I really like the look of it. It looks fun. No price point or anything that hasn't been announced yet. It's not going to launch until 2022. So here's the official overview from Square Enix. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis is a chapter-structured single-player experience which will cover the whole of the Final Fantasy VII timeline, including the events of the original game, along with the Final Fantasy VII compilation titles, as well as the new story elements penned by Final Fantasy VII Remake story and scenario writer Nojama, surrounding the origins of Soldier. So maybe it does dive into Crisis Core. They're going to explore that option. Maybe it does explore Dirge of Cerberus and that option. Maybe it even goes into something like Advent Children. That would be pretty cool. So from what I've seen, go check out that trailer. See if you're excited about it as well. It definitely has kind of that FF15 Pocket Edition vibe to it, but much, much better looking. I thought that was a cool idea, and that was a mobile game that eventually made its way to consoles. Maybe I can foresee this happening as well. I'm not completely sold on it, but I am in favor of this idea, especially if it is a way to bring new fans who perhaps don't have a console, or maybe they don't have all the money in the world, but they've got their phone, and so they can go back and experience the original story. I'm very, very much in favor of that, and pretty excited to be quite frank with it. One final piece of Remake news, and then we'll move on to some other stories. As they announced these three titles, it was also reported in Famitsu that Tetsuro Nomura will serve as the creative director for Remake Part 2, whenever that comes out, and he will be handing over sole director title role to the co-director of Part 1, Nako Hamaguchi. I believe that's because Nomura is going to be serving more of an I was going to say an overlord role, but more of a creative director in terms of not only overseeing this project, but the aforementioned Final Fantasy VII projects on mobile, and maybe even stuff we don't know about. But I don't dislike this bit of news at all. We know Nomura and some of the craziness that he tends to get into. Maybe, Hamaguchi kind of reins back some of that in Part 2, or maybe goes in a completely different direction that we don't even know. But, he said, that's basically what he said. He's going to be working on a bunch of different stuff, and needs to step back a bit. And I don't blame him whatsoever. So that's two of the three big pieces of news. On to the Pokemon Direct. Two big announcements came out of that. And the first that many people had kind of speculated on did finally come to fruition. There will be Switch remastered versions of Diamond and Pearl, and they are going to be called Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Pokemon Shining Pearl, remakes of the 2006 released Nintendo DS titles. There was a trailer for that came out, of course, and I'm trying to see a release date for. Oh, it will launch in late 2021. So many people are obviously going to be very happy about that. And there was a new announcement as well. This is coming from Pokemon Company and developer Game Freak. They announced, and I hope I say this correctly, Pokemon Legends Arceus will launch for the Switch in early 2021. This one, a lot of fans initially were comparing it kind of to like Breath of the Wild. While it does have much more of an open feel to it and a little bit more action elements, it is still kind of that tried and true an upgraded version of the battle system. I think it looks pretty cool, and we'll have to wait and see how they develop it. But you know my feelings on Pokemon, and I didn't want that to come across as any sort of negative for these titles. So I'm going to be turning over to Dalton, and he will have his unabashedly fanboy pants on in full and give you his reaction to these games as only Dalton can, and really give it much more justice than I can. You got the news part from me, so let's give what I hope is kind of a recurring segment of our listener reactions. We've always got our listener reviews. If you play a game and want to give it your review, send it in to me either via voice, a voice file, some kind of recording, or you can send text in to jrpgreport@gmail.com. I'd be happy to read it for you instead. Let's do this as well. If there's some big reaction coming out to a game that maybe, James just read the news part to it, but I really want to react to it, feel free to send it in to me. If it's of quality and pretty cool, I'll put it on, same address, jrpgreport@gmail.com. So let's turn it over to Dalton from the Steam Machine podcast and get his take on these two Pokemon announcements.
Hey everybody, it's Dalton here from the Steam Machine podcast, and I told James, buddy, if you need somebody who's actually into Pokemon to kind of get some hype out there for it, because I know he's not the biggest fan, by all means, hit me up and I will talk about it, because this Pokemon Direct, oh boy, I'm gonna censor myself because I know this is a family-friendly show, but man, it blew my mind. Like, all I've ever wanted since I first played Oblivion back in the day was a open world Pokemon game. That was all I could imagine. Was like, oh man, imagine if you had this big open world where you could go and do anything, but like there would be Pokemon everywhere. And now we are going to get it with Pokemon Legends Arceus. Arceus. I don't even care how you say it. The legendary Pokemon, the one who supposedly like started it all. He is like the god Pokemon. He is the creator of Pokemon, something like that. Deep into the lore. I am stoked. Oh man, I feel like the Pokemon Company has been paying very close attention to Zelda and their forays lately, because man, this new game looks a lot like Breath of the Wild, and I'm not complaining at all. I'm not complaining in the slightest, because Sword and Shield was really fun, but this new one just looks next level, and I think that's what that Nintendo and Pokemon in general has needed, is something next level, something. Now, don't get me wrong, it didn't look great, but it said in the trailer this is not final gameplay footage. They're still working on it. The game is still a year and some change off, so I can imagine it's going to look better. Even if it doesn't, if it came out looking like a PlayStation 2 game, it is an open world Pokemon game on a console that we are going to be able to actually have and play, and not worry about getting a cease and desist, right? Because there have been fan-made games that have come out that were made with the Pokemon Essentials Pack and RPG Maker and that type of thing, and they've been great, but some of them got hit with cease and desist. Now, if you're tricky, or if you know your way around the internet, you can still find them. But even that aside, though, but finally, like mainline, we're gonna have an open world Pokemon game. I couldn't be more excited. I can't wait to dive in, run around, catch them all. I'm curious because the game is going to be taking place before all of the games that we're used to, almost like in ancient times, or at least old school. And I'm trying to wrap my head around it, man. Does that mean there's going to be? I mean, there was no trainers. It was back when Pokemon ran free, so there was no trainers. Are there going to be no Pokemon centers? Or is there no Nurse Joy? Are we going to meet the very first Nurse Joy? The very first Officer Jenny? Like, what's going to happen, man? Or is your character eventually going to become the first professor? Because that would be sweet. There's so many questions and unlimited possibilities that could be there that I am so looking forward to. And, they could even add a little more RPG elements into it, where it's like, how do you raise your stats as a trainer? Are you more apt to raise hardened Pokemon that do a lot of damage, but you don't really give them a lot of love. You give them stern, just military style love, if you will. Or are you going to be the caring, nurturing type where you probably have a Chansey that follows you around, like healing him up and everything? Like the possibilities are endless as to what could happen. I guess the only thing we could do is wait and see. We'll find out. 2022, whenever it comes out. Now, the other one, I was so excited I didn't even see the release date. I did just watch the trailer for it, though. It is Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. And this is why I said I think they've been paying attention to Zelda. Because not only does that new Pokemon Legends game look like... No, not only does it look like Breath of the Wild, but this new Brilliant Diamond and Shiny Pearl remakes, they look just like that chibi Link's Awakening remake style. And I'm cool with that too, man. I like to take the old school Pokemon games and put them into that, like a new look, a new fresh coat of paint, if you will. I can't wait just to dive in, man. And I know it's probably nostalgia talking, but you know what? Nostalgia is a very strong thing, and it helps us get through times like these, where we're all stuck at home and we really need that escape, And for a lot of people of my generation, Pokemon has always been an escape. So not only with the two remakes, now then the new game, and then Pokemon Snap coming out as well, or it might even already be out, I'm not sure. I am so stoked. As a Pokemon fan, I couldn't be happier. Like, it made me I've been watching some Pokemon. Like right now I'm looking at my computer. Pokemon is paused on my second monitor while I record this. And I've got Pokemon Uranium running in the background, which is a fan-made Pokemon game. PC only. Haha, of course. You know me. And I just, I can't say enough that, like, how excited I am for these. I know I'm sounding probably like a parrot that only knows how to say 3 sentences. But, man, I just cannot wait. I cannot wait. I can't wait to see what starters there are. I can't wait to see where the adventures take us. And if Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl come out first, which I'm sure they will, for some reason I feel like that'll come out this year. I didn't even watch the trailer long enough. I watched it long enough to tell me the names of them. I hit pause, and I hit record on this. But if they come out sometime this year, I will definitely be back giving my report on what I think of it, because I will be getting it and I will be playing it. Long live Pokemon, no matter what James says. And I don't know if he'll end the podcast with this, but if he does, don't forget, everyone, get out there and catch them all.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much for that. And no, I didn't want to put you at the very end. People waiting for Pokemon news. Don't want to throw them at the end of the podcast, but I appreciate your ending to it as well. You got to catch them all. That was well played, sir. So let's get back into some other bits of news. The Yakuza Like a Dragon PS5 version is now available. Of course, if you got the PS4 version, you can upgrade that for free. However, not only will save data not carry over, but I do understand there's been some issues with users being able to do that. So the developers are aware of that, and it could even be fixed by now. But at this time you listen to this, but yeah, they're working on it, and there was, of course, the PS5 launch trailer for it. Looks fantastic. There are some definite, I've seen a couple upgrades and it looks pretty cool, but it's good to see what that PS5 can do for some games that we already saw what PS4 version is. Let's see that PS5 version as well. Some Nier news. We now know the voice cast for Nier Replicant. There are many other actors returning from the original Nier to reprise their roles. The adult protagonist will be voiced by Ray Chase. The young protagonist will be voiced by Zach Aguilar. I hope I say these names correct. The Grimoire voice is Liam O'Brien. Kane is going to be voiced by industry veteran Laura Bailey. You guys know that one. Emil is voiced by Julie Ann Taylor. And Devola is voiced by Eden Regal. Nier Replicant is due out for PlayStation 4, Xbox One on April the 22nd in Japan and Asia. The next day in North America, Europe, and then PC worldwide on April the 23rd. In other Nier news, we haven't got it over here yet, but Nier Reincarnation, the mobile title, has passed 10 million downloads. Like, that really seems like an insane number, right? I don't know. You know how the Japanese love their mobile titles, and this has proven it. I guess that probably includes people that, let's say you want to play it on your mobile, but you also want to play it on your tablet. It's going to count that twice type of deal. But still, that is an impressive number, no matter if it's a free download or not. In some other bits of news, if you were holding out, for a physical copy of Hero Must Die Again, you'll be able to do that fairly soon. It's not limited run. This is Dogia Games. Is that how you say their name? They are doing physical copies. Pre-orders will begin on March the 9th. No, it's not. That's who developed the game. It is from limitedrungames.com. If you want more information, there's, of course, a special edition that goes along with it as well. So head over to their website if you'd like to pre-order that. Let's see if it's just going to be for Switch and PC. Or I'm sorry, not PC. Switch and PS4 physical copies. There you go. So if you've been wanting a physical copy of that, you can do that. PC owners, if you're feeling a bit left out on Monster Hunter Rise and it's only coming to Switch, well, you just got to wait a little bit. I guess PS4 owners are just out in the blue for this one, but Monster Hunter Rise will be coming to PC in early 2022. Capcom confirmed in a new round of press interviews. Quote, the PC version is still very much in development, and further details will be announced when they are available. As of now, the Switch version of Monster Hunter Rise will be available worldwide on March the 26th. As always, each week we've got a new Japanese trailer for Magnum Lord. This one is Aclio. I guess that's how you say their names. This is the 5th character trailer for the action RPG, which is due out for PS4 and Switch on March the 18th in Japan. They are doing a really cool DLC over there, and I hope, if the game comes to the West, hopefully this DLC will come as well. They're doing hero skins from the Tales of series. The 3 that I can see, there are 2 from Tales of Destiny, and 1 from Tales of Innocence, and then 1 from Tales of Hearts. So, those were big in Japan, and maybe we'll get a few of them over there. I did play Tales of Hearts on Vita, and that was really good, even without any English voiceover. Still pretty cool stuff. I got two more big things to talk about, and we mentioned this a bit before. The upcoming Apple Arcade title Fantasian, and that is from Mistwalker Studio. Well, it finally got two trailers for it. It was two, wasn't it? Yeah, two trailers for it. A interesting looking little game. Most people are going to dismiss it just because it is coming to mobile games, but I don't think we should do that with this one just because of the pedigree behind it. Of course, Mistwalker has some Final Fantasy people involved in it. Where is the? Of course, I know Nomura Uematsu is involved with the music, and I don't see the director's name who is involved with it. That's weird. Oh, here it is. Final Fantasy series creator Harunobu Sakaguchi. He talked about the development of this game, of course, and getting Uematsu's involvement as well. Obviously, it sounds fantastic. It looks pretty good. I mean, you're not going to fool anybody that it's not a mobile game. This one is coming to Apple Arcade for iOS devices in 2021. So I invite you to go check out the trailer on our YouTube channel, see what you think about it. It is a turn-based battle system, so that should pique your interest if you're, there's fewer and fewer of those to choose from. What I think is really cool with this one, in addition to the whole basis of this game is based on dioramas. And so if you are a child of the 80s and 90s, you were probably forced to make these in school. I don't know if they're still doing it nowadays, but handmade dioramas, which are, for lack of a better word, a set, right? And then they 3D copied these things down and into the game, and your character runs through the environments. I don't think it looks as impressive as they thought it was going to. It still looks really cool. Now, I've not seen a ton of it, but from what I've seen, it's pretty cool. It's nothing mind-blowing or anything like that. The thing that I like about it, excuse me, you engage in an enemy. Well, you don't see them on the screen or anything, but as you're running along, it would be a random encounter. You can turn on what is this called? I'm not sure what it's called, but basically you can use the demiurge to stop encounters. Now, so instead of having a random encounter each time, every few steps, they will instead kind of be like this little star thing will go and then over into this meter, which keeps on adding up. I think you can go up to 30. So instead of having 2 or 3 enemies to fight at a time, they instead will go over here to this meter, and then you choose to fight them all at once. Now, obviously, this wouldn't work with like boss characters or anything like that, but you can then take all those enemies, and it's on a giant, big type battlefield. And instead of your arts or attacks only hitting 2 or 3 enemies or 1, you can now have these big sweeping attacks that can hit half the field at once and wipe them out. So, in essence, it's taking the mundane little battles and putting it instead into big battles that you can gain lots of experience all at once and, not miss out on all the grinding that you need to do in these games. I definitely go check out the video. And I was a lot more optimistic about this. Now, this is being available for Apple Arcade, which is something they're really trying to push. So I don't think we're going to get that standard shovelware gotcha type game. I think this is an actual game that's going to cost actual money to play. I can't confirm that because there's been no price point announced for it, but that seems to be the way this one is going. It looks really cool, and of course has the pedigree to back it up as well. 2 last stories involving Atelier Ryza and perhaps the future of that series are our last things to cover today. Don't forget, check out your podcast again tomorrow. I'll have some work to do first thing, but maybe around lunchtime or so, you should have a brand new podcast all about all the craziness that's gone on from New Game Plus Expo 2021. So cool that we're getting these things back. And just to let you know, there's a lot. It's not like it's going to be a short podcast. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll have some, hopefully, I was going to wait and include it, like I said, but some of the like the big NS America stuff isn't coming until about 3 o'clock, which would have pushed everything way back and made for a super long podcast. So don't forget, in addition to listening each week, you'll want to watch us on YouTube. Give us a subscription over there. Like and subscribe on Facebook. And follow us on Twitter as we publish all these things on a day-to-day basis and keep you up to date with things as they happen. If you enjoy what you're hearing here, head over to our Patreon channel, JRPG Report, and consider giving us some financial support over there. It really keeps things rolling right along. If you have Atelier Ryza 2, the PlayStation 5 version is rocking and rolling, and you now have cross-save ability on there. So I'm not exactly sure why that wasn't there to begin with, but yeah, there you go. You can now, well, maybe you didn't have a PS5 when you first got it. You started on PS4, now you want to switch over. There's a article on that, and you can get some help, but it's basically you go over to the desk where you normally save at, and now there is cross-save ability. I think you'll need to have both systems kind of online at the same time. Yeah, they both need to be connected to the internet, obviously. And there you go, so that you can do that. But in an interview with, I'm not sure who this is with. Let's see. It's with our friends over at Konora. They sat down with Junzo Hoisai of Gust, and they're talking, the game's been out for a while, so they're able to look back at things, and there's really no big spoilers in here, but they do ask. They say, now that there's no fear of spoilers, what did you want to do with the game that you weren't able to do? And he answers, I wish we could have enhanced the character's expressions a lot more. I thought they did a pretty good job with like the hand motions and stuff like that, but I guess like facial expressions could have been done a bit better. I thought they weren't bad by any stretch, but that's the way developers think on that. The obvious next question is there going to be an Atelier Ryza 3? As I've said before, I don't think there's any way they don't do a 3. I really don't. They've always done these games in trilogies. Of course, usually it is with a setting or a theme. This one is the secret sub-series. But they've already done 2 with Ryza. I don't see how they could not do a 3rd with Ryza. If you played part 2, there are some openings for a potential 3rd, but a lot like part 1, it doesn't have to be. They could stop it if they really wanted to. They could have stopped after 1. To be quite frank, but the popularity of Ryza said no way. His answer is good, and of course it's true. It says it all depends on everyone's support, i.e. how many people buy the game. I know he's a developer. He's not a marketing or a salesperson, but that is the translation of everyone's support. You got to buy the game so they can give me more money. He said, personally, I would like to make a 3rd game, and if we're fortunate and get the opportunity to make it, I want to be successful in evolving it even further. He said, if they ask if a 3rd game should happen, we finally see more of Boss. They said he's a character who stood out in one way or another in both games. So I'd like to give him an active part somehow. That's obviously something that a lot of people have asked as well, that maybe he would probably be a playable character. I don't see why not, but we shall see. Do you think that Atelier Ryza 2 will influence future Atelier games? He said, I consider the Secret series to be the series in the Atelier series that challenges new things. That's a lot of series. For those challenges are being received positively. But on the other hand, challenging new things doesn't necessarily result in everything being great. We have received comments from players who liked how things were done before. I respectfully disagree. I think that in almost all aspects it was much better done in the Ryza series. He thinks that negative comments are very important, and so will influence me to think of ways to both incorporate both opinions in the future. Yes, and finally they ask about the PlayStation 5's special features and what it could mean for the series going forward. He said when he tried that controller, he was really surprised with the various features it included. It'd be great if we could come up with ways to use them in future games. For example, we could use it to show how the alchemy cauldron responds during synthesis, or control the strength when mixing in the cauldron. That'd be pretty cool. We plan on looking at new ways to best use it. So, kind of just answering the question that we all knew was coming about part 3. I don't think it's only a matter of when and not if, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. That's it for episode 154. We clocked in a little over 15 minutes. That's not bad. Like I said, this thing would have went on forever. And I don't think it would have done some stories justice that needed to be fleshed out. I would have went straight to all the new Game Plus Expo stuff, to be quite frank. But yeah, check out your inboxes or podcast centers or whatever you listen to this thing tomorrow. And, or if you are listening in the future, it'll be available right now. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. It's my pleasure each and every week to bring all the news in the JRPG world to you. My name, of course, is James Fisher. And until next time, possibly tomorrow, get back out there and level up.